Phoenix Ren arrived at Canute's residence. The thin man with a hooked nose stared at him with a menacing gaze. "Ronin, is what you said to the Sky Dragon King true? Is the Jiangnan region really as weak as you say it is?" The corners of Phoenix Ren's mouth curled up in a smile. He spread his hands and said, "Of course not. If we engage them in a head-on battle, for example, by attacking their headquarters, Blizzard City, directly, there is no way we can win with just the 13 of us. I am very aware of this." But, his voice rose a few decibels, their territory is so vast. It is larger than an average country. And yet they don't have enough manpower to defend every inch of land. Phoenix Ren reached out to Canute. "We won't be stupid enough to fight them head-on. We'll just keep harassing them and wear them down. By then, we can get everything we want. If we eclipse Moon Act on our own, the gains will be limited. That's why I'm here to seek your cooperation. With the strength of your Sky Dragon pirates, you can definitely plunder to your heart's content." Phoenix Ren shrugged his shoulders and said with a hint of regret, "Unfortunately, I have somewhat overestimated the courage of the Sky Dragon King." Canute's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he shouted, "Shut up! Who are you to judge our king?" Seeing this, Phoenix Ren gave a light smile and pushed his palm away. "Sorry, I didn't mean any offense. It's just that such a good opportunity, once missed, will never come again." He said with a smile, "You will also find it difficult to find helpers like us." Canute narrowed his eyes. He said slowly, "We will be traveling through the southern seas to the Jiangnan region, and the biggest problem will be their navy. You say there is a way to help us bypass our navy's defenses?" Phoenix Ren nodded with a smile. "Of course. If we couldn't do that, how would we have been able to set foot on that land in the first place? With Mayumi Takeuchi by their side, they could avoid all dangers, with the exception of that time with Zhang Yi." "Heh. Interesting, very interesting." Canute's cold eyes fixed on Phoenix Ren, and after a long while, he grinned and said, "In that case, let's do something big together." Phoenix Ren laughed and said, "Then I wish us a happy collaboration." Before the words had finished, an icy pistol was pressed against his forehead. "Don't you dare play any tricks on me, or I'll be sure to kill you myself." Phoenix Ren ignored the pistol on his forehead. "Of course, we're partners now, aren't we?" Zhang Yi sighed. He only stayed in Tianhai City for 1 day after returning. He handed over the 4 chemical compounds to Zhou Care, scraped some of the substance for research, and took the rest with him in case of emergencies. He then returned to Blizzard City with a few others. This time, in addition to Liang Yu and Flower, he took Yang Xinxin with him. The 3 of them took the Blizzard City Express train to Blizzard City. As soon as they got off the train, they saw a familiar face. A bodyguard wearing a black combat uniform. They were not Yan Yunwei or the City Defense Army, but the Deng family's personal bodyguards. One might even call them private soldiers. Zhang Yi guessed that the Deng family also had a formidable force at their disposal. "Mr. Zhang Yi, we were sent by Mr. Deng Yuanbo. He would like to invite you to lunch today. Is that convenient for you?" Zhang Yi was a little surprised by the Deng family's invitation. He didn't have any connections with the Deng family, and he had only been to Deng Garden once before, also because of an invitation from Deng Shintong. Now that Deng Shintong had died in battle, he thought that Deng Yuanbo was too sad to care about things outside the house. Who would have thought that he would invite him over for lunch? After some thought, Zhang Yi realized that although he wasn't sure what Deng Yuanbo's intentions were, they were definitely related to the death of Deng Shintong. The Deng family is very influential in the Jiangnan region, and since the head of the family personally invited him, Zhang Yi still had to give them face. He looked at the bodyguard and smiled. "Is it okay if I bring a few friends?" The bodyguard looked at Yang Xinxin and Liang Yu and nodded. Of course. Their task was only to invite Zhang Yi over. Whether Zhang Yi brought anyone with him or not would not affect the conversation that followed. "Very well, thank you." The bodyguard bowed to make way. "This way, everyone." Zhang Yi and the others followed them into a car, which drove along a road that Zhang Yi was familiar with towards the Deng residence. The black car was spacious in the back, and not only was it warm and luxurious inside, but there was also a built-in refrigerator with drinks and alcohol. Zhang Yi looked at the driver and bodyguard in front of him, and silently took out his satellite phone. He gave Liang Yu and Yang Xinxin a look, and the two immediately understood what he meant. This was going to be a text conversation. Zhang Yi, the Deng family invited me over for dinner. What do you think? Do you think they mean well, or are they up to no good? Liang Yu frowned and thought for a long time before saying, well, I'm not really sure. Flower while on Zhang Yi's thigh curiously jumped onto his shoulder. Although it couldn't read the text, it looked eager to join in the fun. Yang Xinxin smiled and quickly typed 2 words on her phone. Win over. Zhang Yi glanced at Yang Xinxin next to him and continued typing, asking, what does that mean? Yang Xinxin gave a mysterious smile at the corner of her mouth. According to current intelligence, there are not many top-level combatants in Blizzard City. The only ones we know about are the 6 captains of the investigation squad, Tu Yunlai, the head of the combat department, and Sun Luxuan, the bodyguard by Zhu Zheng's side. Judging from Blizzard City's management style, it is unlikely that there are any hidden strong players. Even if there aren't many. The Deng family relied heavily on Deng Shintong, the top-level ability user, to maintain their status in the family. But now, Deng Shintong has died in battle. This will have a very serious impact on the Deng family. Coupled with Bian Zhenhua's death earlier, the balance in Blizzard City has been seriously disrupted. Perhaps the time for a new reshuffle is upon us. The Deng family cannot have invited you over to target you, as that would be pointless for them to do. The only possibility is to win you over and make you one of them. Yang Xinxin's analysis was very reasonable, and it made Zhang Yi feel slightly more relaxed. In the world to come, the top combat power will determine the strength of an influence. Ordinary soldiers, and even heat weapons, are slowly losing their dominance on the battlefield. If this were not the case, how could the 13 members of Eclipse Moon be so arrogant in the Jiangnan region? He wants to recruit me, does he? Zhang Yi frowned. He typed, but I don't want to get involved in the power struggle in Blizzard City. He had never been a person keen on power. If he really wanted it, after solving the problem with Yuan Konghua, he could have claimed credit from Zhu Zheng. Yang Xinxin thought for a moment and said, you can test the other party's attitude first. But obviously, the Deng family will not choose to break away with you now. Even if you refuse, you have to leave them room to dream. Zhang Yi nodded knowingly. He understood the rules of social conventions. But it was also quite funny to think that, in the end of the world, in places where social systems still existed, there was still a need to pay attention to these things. After half an hour or so, the car arrived at the Deng Manor. It was still a familiar place, but after Zhang Yi arrived here, he felt that it had become a bit more desolate and solemn. Even the expressions of the Deng family's escorts seemed a bit more serious. The loss of the Heavenly God Squad and the death of Deng Shintong had cast a heavy pall over the family. That mood has spread to the present day and is difficult to dispel. Upon arriving at Deng Manor, they were greeted by an elegant man in a suit. He looked to be only in his 40s, but he had a handsome face, elegant bearing, and the appearance of a gentleman. This was Lianqing, the butler of the Deng family. Mr. Zhang, and the 2 young ladies, welcome to Deng Manor. Our master has prepared a sumptuous lunch and invites you all to join. Zhang Yi, Li Liang, and Yang Xinxin followed Lianqing all the way forward. This was the first time he had been to Deng Yuanhua's residence. The room was resplendent with gold and jade, and one couldn't even see the end at a glance, so it was impossible to imagine how much space there was inside. Paired with these beautiful women, Zhang Yi deeply felt the sincerity of the Deng Yuanhua. Yang Xinxin, however, frowned slightly, not really liking the Deng family's welcome. Lianqing followed Zhang Yi's side and asked with a smile, Mr. Zhang, are you satisfied with this environment? Zhang Yi thought to himself, I'm more than satisfied. But in front of Yang Xinxin and Liang Yu, he had to gather the smile at the corners of his mouth and nodded coldly. Not bad. Liancheng was also a little surprised by Zhang Yi's composure, and thought to himself, indeed, he is worthy of being the master's favorite, with such a strong composure. I underestimated him before because he was just an ordinary warehouse manager, but now I think I was wrong. In a short while, the group walked through the magnificent corridor and arrived at the dining area. The dining room was decorated in red and was very lively, even festive. This made Zhang Yi feel a little strange. Was it really appropriate to make such a fuss when Deng Shindong's corpse was still warm? But maybe the old man liked a lively atmosphere. After the Ice Age descended, many people began to like this flaming red color. Seeing it makes people feel warm on a psychological level. Deng Yuanbo was wearing an expensive suit and was sitting at the huge round table with a smile on his face. Liancheng said, "Mr. Deng, Mr. Zhang Yi and the others are here." Zhang Yi walked over and said politely to Deng Yuanbo, "Hello, Mr. Deng. Thank you for inviting us." Yang Xinxin and Lian Yu also said lightly, "Hello, Mr. Deng." Deng Yuanbo looked at Zhang Yi and the others with a smile on his face. Very good, very good. I am very happy that you could come and do me the honor. Come, sit down. Make yourselves at home. Zhang Yi, you and my nephew Deng Shintong are considered to be acquainted, so if you don't mind, you can call me Uncle Deng. Zhang Yi was a little surprised. Uncle Deng Yuanbo immediately drew close to Zhang Yi. It looked like Yang Xinxin had been right, he was trying to win Zhang Yi over. Zhang Yi smiled and nodded, reaching out to shake hands. After all, you shouldn't be rude to someone who is smiling at you. Uncle Deng Yuanbo was old enough that it wouldn't be a loss to call him uncle. Uncle Deng. Hearing Zhang Yi's call, the smile on Uncle Deng Yuanbo's face grew even wider. Good, since you called me Uncle Deng today, I won't let you call me that for nothing. He gave a wink of the eye. Soon, a beautiful woman wearing a traditional Chinese dress came over to Zhang Yi, holding a tray. On the tray was a brown box. This is a gift to welcome you. I hope you don't mind, Deng Yuanbo said with a smile. Oh, and as for these two young ladies, there are also gifts for them later. Deng Yuanbo's attitude was straightforward, almost unbearably obvious in his attempt to win Zhang Yi over. Zhang Yi remained on his guard. If someone is too eager to help, they're either a scoundrel or a thief. Well, that sounds a bit insulting. Let's just say they're not interested in helping without a good reason. Still, he was curious as to what the gift was. After all, he didn't feel like he was lacking anything at the moment. So he asked, "Uncle Deng, what is this?" Deng Yuanbo could see the skepticism in Zhang Yi's eyes. However, his expression was somewhat playful. Poor boy, you've been suffering for more than half a year outside, and you haven't had an easy life. The thing inside, he pointed his finger at the brown box, can save you half a year of hard work on improving your strength. Zhang Yi's expression suddenly froze. Lian Yu and Yang Xinxin also looked serious. It can improve my strength? Zhang Yi looked at Uncle Deng Yuanbo in disbelief.